Now, may we have our next team of challengers, please?
What is your name, please?
My name is Melvin Purvis.
What is your name, please?
My name is Melvin Purvis.
What is your name, please?
My name is Melvin Purvis.
Once again, panel, may I direct your attentions to your copies of this affidavit. I, Melvin Purvis, am familiar with both crime waves and radio waves. I own and operate an independent radio station. But in the hectic crime wave of the 1930s, I was an agent for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I was involved in the apprehension of both Babyface Nelson and Pretty Boy Floyd. But I am perhaps best remembered as the special agent in charge the night the FBI eliminated public enemy number 1, John Dillinger. Signed, Melvin Purvis. Now, we're all set, so here we have 3 gentlemen, all claiming to be Melvin Purvis, former special agent for the FBI. Let's begin this questioning with Ralph Bellamy. Ralph?
Number 1, where did the term G-Man originate? With whom and under what circumstances?
It was a term originated from G for government, meaning government man, and it originated under the Mr. Burns, who preceded Mr. Hoover as head of the Bureau.
Number 2, will you answer that same question? What was the first time it was used and by whom?
Machine Gun Kelly originated the term G meaning government.
And under what circumstances?
I think he exclaimed once that, look out, boys, the G's are coming.
Number 3, who was the lady in red, I believe she was called, involved in the Dillinger arrest?
She went by the name of Anna Sage.
Anna Sage.
Kitty Carlisle.
Number 1, are you a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
Are you a lawyer, number 2?
I am.
Are you a lawyer, number 3?
Original accountant.
What's that?
Accountant.
An accountant. Number 2, where is your radio station?
Florence, South Carolina.
Number 1, where was Pretty Boy Floyd apprehended?
Wellsville, Ohio.
What's that?
Wellsville, Ohio.
Ohio. And Babyface Nelson, number 3?
He was wounded in the suburbs of Chicago, found dead in the suburbs later.
Number 2, whatever became of the lady in red?
I understand she was deported to Romania, her native land.
And never since heard of?
Oh, yes, I think she died about 8 or 9 years ago.
Number 1, do you believe that the crime rate is going up since the 30s?
Yes.
Have you any reasons why?
I read the newspapers.
Hi, Gardner.
Number 2, how did Vincent Cole meet his death?
I only know about that by having read in the papers. I assume he was killed.
Number 1, would you know?
I just read the papers.
Number 3?
No, I'm not familiar with
Of course,
that.
it was during your time. Number 1, who was John Edgar Hoover's closest friend and top assistant?
Tolson.
What's his first name, do you know?
Clyde.
Number 2, how can you, or can you give me the name of a mobster now deceased who went under the name of, the nickname of Greasy Thumb?
Guzik.
Number 3, what, in your opinion, or do you recall the title of the movie that was playing in the theater when Dillinger was shot?
Manhattan Melodrama.
Manhattan. I think I saw that in the Late Late Show the other night. Number 2, how does Mr. Hoover sign his personal mail?
J. Edgar Hoover and J.E. on occasion.
Polly?
Number 1, could you tell me what was John Dillinger's girlfriend's name?
Polly Hamilton, or Polly Keels.
I beg your pardon?
Polly Keels.
Polly?
Keels.
I didn't know, as you can see.
Her name was Keels, and sometimes she used the name of Hamilton, but her first name was Polly.
Oh, isn't that nice? Number 2, could you tell me see now. When was the Prohibition law passed? Lifted. Number two. Lifted. When was it lifted? Yes.
1933.
1933?
Yes.
Number three, when do you say the Prohibition law was lifted?
1933.
Number one, same question?
1933.
That's it, panel. We end on the note of 1933 and the lifting of the Prohibition law. And it's time to vote. So will you mark your ballots and vote thereby for number one, number two, or number three? All set, Polly? Sometimes known as Polly Hamilton. Who are you voting for, Polly?
Well, I'm wrong, but I vote for number two.
Number two?
I know I've said this before, but I really always mean it. It's very close for me between number one and number two, and I felt they both had a tremendous amount of information, and I really just sort of took a guess and went for number two.
Okay, he'll always cherish the thought that you went for him, I'm sure. Ralph, your vote?
Number two. I felt, too, that they all had a fund of information, but number two was the only one who had the accurate answer, as I know it, about the origination of the term G-Man.
Kitty, your vote?
Number two. Well, it's my impression that all G-men, FBI men, had to be lawyers. And number two was the only one who said he was well, don't tell me accountants now. You should have told me sooner. So I voted for number two who said he was a lawyer.
Okay. Hi, Gardner. How about your ballot?
I voted for number two also. Number one, I thought it was very fluid in this conversation and volunteered a lot of information, which FBI men generally don't do. Number two was very quiet and gentle and carries a big rod. And furthermore, he knew Greasy Thumb's name was Grusick.
All right, there we are. Whether you agree with us or not is not important. We've given you our votes and our reasons, and we'll find out right now which one of these gentlemen is the real former special agent of the FBI. Will the real Melvin Purvis please stand up? $100% for you, panel. After your scores last week, I didn't know what was going to happen to you this week, but you finally came through at the end. Number one, would you tell us who you really are and what you do?
I am James Edwards. I'm the business manager of New York's famous town hall.
And number three, what about you, sir?
I'm Sam Surratt. I've been in the transportation business in New York for the last 30 years.
Well, it was certainly nice to have you all here tonight. Hope you enjoyed your visit. And even though our panel scored 100%, there's still $150 from Geritol for you gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us. Good night and good luck.